My name is Z,
My name is Vicky.
and we have our special guest here, Jojo.
Hi, it's Jojo here. Okay, so before we dive into that, we'd like to introduce a little bit about Jojo. So Jojo is a renowned wellness personality, regional TV host, Tedx Speaker, and the founder of Asia's award-winning wellness space, OhanaJo.
Yay.
So, Jojo is someone who is specialized in...
Specialized in this really amazing technique, right? It's a Hawaiian Asian mantra called Ho'oponopono.
It's a bit of a mouthful, yeah. Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian practice of forgiveness. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And I actually recently come across this mantra, and I thought that's really amazing. And they have 4 powerful magic words. Let's get into the topic.
Let's get into the first question. So we have talked about comparison. And so why do you think women especially compare ourselves to each other?
Okay, I would say that comparisons all really start from a very young age. And it's our conditioning, it's how you've been brought up, it's your parents. Their belief systems end up, being a part of your belief systems. If you've got a go-getter parent who really has been brought up with a lot of pressure, that can get translated onto you. And you feel not good enough, really puts good grades, a big house, as ideals, then a person is going to end up feeling if they're not getting it right from the start, then they're going to fall short. So yeah, I would say comparisons come from watching my cousin play the piano and an auntie going, to her child, look at how well she plays, and I wish that you could play like that. And imagine what that's going to do, right, to that kid. It's like, I can't play the piano, I'm not good enough, I'm not musically inclined. So yeah, it's no joke. I would say parents, that's why forgiveness is huge, because they are people too,
Yeah, but I feel like we can also dive deeper into the questions like what I would think are the top insecurities for women. Why are we so insecure about our body or
in the modeling industry? And I was surrounded by models who were very insecure about their looks. And it was their job, it was their profession. Some didn't feel tall enough, some didn't feel beautiful enough. And it really struck me as, wow, I'm next to a girl who looks like a picture perfect poster girl, but she doesn't feel attractive enough because she's losing jobs in modeling, because she's losing it to someone else, because beauty is subjective, that she just wasn't picked. But it didn't mean that she wasn't beautiful, but she started to feel, because she would keep not getting the job across many auditions, inevitably she started to feel not pretty enough, not good enough. And that's even with her job being a model. She was obviously very physically attractive. So your perception, by the way, is your reality.
Yeah.
Okay. I felt that when I was growing up, I knew that I was not pure Chinese. I wasn't pure Malay. Wasn't pure Indian. I was others, right? Whatever that means. I'm an other. So already you're not fitting in because you're like Roja, right?
Yeah.
So I realized that people were not in school when I was young. They were not treating me differently because of that. They were like, oh, you're mixed. It seemed to actually be a somewhat positive thing, but it was not when I went to boarding school in Australia. And it was the first time I really felt the pain of racism. I felt I came up against something that felt alien to me, like as though I'm just already not good enough because of the color of my skin, or that I wasn't blonde. And in boarding school, a lot of the girls were from the farms in the country.
Okay.
So the ones who lived in the city, they were more accepting. Like there was this Italian girl, she was a mix, like walking down the corridor, and I just politely went, good morning. And not only did she ignore me, she slammed the door in my face. And I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do to deserve that?
Yeah.
And then there was this friend of mine from, I think she was Indonesian. She was walking in a mall in Australia, and look, I have nothing against anyone. I love Australia, by the way. Wow, their oceans, their beaches, and I met beautiful people too. But it was my first time encountering racism. And there was this Indonesian girl walking with her sister in a mall, and this mother and her child were walking past her. It's this little 8-year-old girl, this Australian girl, and she looked at my friend, this Indonesian, and said, she's tugging on her mom's arm, and she goes, "Look, Mom," and her whole face changed. She goes, "Asians." I was like, my God, and that girl who was Indonesian said, how do you blame an 8-year-old? I mean, she was just a little kid if that's what she's been brought up with. And that comparison, and suddenly the Indonesian girl feeling that, she's, not right or good or wrong.
They are just not good.
Or not accepted in some way. Your skin color, your culture is not accepted. And I found that wow, what an eye-opener. And so when you think about it, if I got angry and bitter, that would change my outlook on life. And that's where you got to think of acceptance, that I didn't get brought up with those values, and take a step back. And that's when, if you have compassion and forgiveness, it has nothing to do with you, you know? So
the awareness out, it's not about you, right? Like what people say, what words people tell us, it's really not it's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing.
Correct. And it's also learning to know that there are some things that have nothing to do with you. And even the people closest to you, it could be that personal that their own lens affects how they see you, and that you need to disconnect from that and know that you are who you are, stand in your truth, and don't allow a person to define you with their lens and their perspective. Because that means that you are buying into that perspective, and you could go down with it. It could really hurt your sense of self. It could hurt your self-esteem. And then insecurity just starts to grow because you start to believe what people are saying about you. You've given your power away.
Well, let's talk about some practical action that we can deal with situation like that, where if we were to face this in the workplace, let's say. Because I think most of us, we will face we will start meeting a lot more people when they grow up and they start working. Or even as a woman, you're leading a group of your staff, and then maybe they are men and you are the only woman. How do we deal with all this?
Right. I think what's really important is the moment you compare yourself, you're already in a situation or a paradigm that means, okay, I need to be better. There's already a kind of a pressure there that I've got to be different. But if you come from acceptance and you focus on your strengths and what you can bring to a table, maybe you can grow those strengths. And maybe we can even celebrate our differences, unless the differences are something in a workplace that is against one's values. So, you've got to navigate that. Meaning, I've seen how a lot of women, or men actually, leaders, some of them are ruling by fear. People are doing as you're told, but what about ruling from inspiration? When a person's inspired by a leader, they may, it's like this untrackable force where you want to do a good job because you're inspired, rather than just because you're being beaten, over the head with, all this rules and regulations, or, the stick versus, I just feel everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want someone working for me that's just doing their job and maybe well, but they're really absolutely terrified. I would feel, wouldn't it be nice if a person's actually working because they want to and because they're inspired by the job and their leader?
Okay. What I'm hearing is how do we break away or overcome all the start by first having awareness about who you are, knowing you're not that. You know your own values, and things about yourself. You can stand for yourself. And then after that, there will be a lot of times when we compare unconsciously, because it's quite automatic in a way that we will start comparing with others.
Yeah.
And when we start comparing, right, then we start to feel like, I'm not enough, right? You talk about self-worth, where I'm not feeling good enough. Then we start to beat ourselves for the mistake that we have done, we have accumulated. So how can we move forward with, how does this link to forgiveness as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not Buddhist, but I thought it was very interesting that Buddha said, you are not punished for your anger, you are punished by your anger. And what that means is when you're angry, you're actually hurting yourself, and you're the one carrying that burden. So say if two people don't want to see each other again, and one person walks away and the other walks away and they never see each other again, but the person who's carrying anger and resentment is suffering because it is a bitter poison. And so that's where forgiveness is freeing, because it means that you are able to move on in your life or in your workplace or a relationship that goes south. You're able to raise your vibrations, see a person for who they are, and have compassion and realize that, you're not going to carry this, because it could eat you up. And it can make a person who, if they're unforgiving, it is such a heavy toxic energy. It can affect your health. And that's why I say forgiveness is so important. See, if you don't feel good enough, and there's a part of you that feels that you're not even forgiving yourself, you're carrying this around. How's that going to serve you in the long run?
Yep.
And it's the same if you feel that you're not able to forgive someone, because if you can't forgive them, then you're just going to keep cursing the situation, and blame and anger are very low vibrational energies. So it can really, it's heavy.
There's a saying, right? You say, I can forgive, but I will never forget. Yeah, how do we deal with this? I can forgive you, but then I will never forget. Is that still considered forgiving?
So what I would say is, if you forgive, and it doesn't mean that you will forget.
Yeah.
It means that you have remembered the past, you've remembered what has happened, and you have freed your heart space. You have freed yourself from, it's not worth it. It is no matter what not worth carrying anger around, because it can make you sick, actually. Yeah. It can make the body sick. It can affect your sleep, your mental health.
Yeah.
So that's why love lets go, and fear holds on. Fear wants to prove, fear wants to control, and love is the opposite of control. It's a surrender. So when you allow and you let go, you walk away, you've remembered what had happened, you remembered what transpired, but it doesn't mean that, you necessarily need to see the person again. It doesn't mean that in a workplace, if you were in a position of hiring, that you've got to keep a person there. It means you forgive them because they're different. Maybe they don't match your values. Maybe they just don't fit in. But it's, you're not projecting. You're just, okay, okay, ouch, that hurt. And then acknowledging that, if someone hurt you, it's like, God, that's really painful. But you know what? You process your journey, you forgive, you let go, y'all go separate ways. It doesn't mean that you would forget what's happened. Yeah. It's like you remember it, but you don't want to carry it around and be like cursing the person.
Forgive comes from love, not fear.
Absolutely. Forgiveness is like when your heart energy center is, it's open.
Okay. It's something that we do for ourselves. Okay.
It's something you do for yourself, but it helps the other person too. But it's not like you got to do it actually first and foremost for you. That's why they say you got to be the bigger person. Because when you forgive, you feel free. You feel lighter. So you're not carrying this around.
Early in this podcast, we also mentioned that you teach Ho'oponopono to deal with forgiveness as well.
Yeah.
How does it work, actually?
Wow. So Ho'oponopono, it's an ancient Hawaiian practice of forgiveness. And it's all about, I love you.
I love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
And thank you.
So these are universal mantras. And what's so amazing is words have the power to hurt people, and they have the power to heal, because everything is energy, and it's not what you say, but how you say it. Like, imagine when a person says, I'm sorry, with full heart. It's amazing how freeing that can be. And please forgive me is not easy to say, And that's why when we say it, and you don't need the person even in front of you, you can do it in a meditation. We do Ho'oponopono workshops at OhanaJo. We realize that, when people are in that state where they're connected to their heart, maybe they're imagining their parent, they're imagining that bully in school. And when they are connected and they feel forgiveness and gratitude start to flow, amazing things happen. They start to break toxic patterns in their life because they realize that you may be upset current day with your boss, but that feeling of being made to feel small didn't come from your boss. It probably was a pattern. Maybe you had a brother or sister that put you down or made you feel not good enough, or a parent that was always comparing you. So it's like when you break these cycles, you are free. And the universe will keep sending you a pattern of situations and people till you get the message,
Right. You got to unwipe the thing out of you.
That's right. We just kind of loop, And so I would say that that's why Ho'oponopono is so powerful, because you can break cycles. You can spot the pattern and go, wow, and thank you is huge. It's not just about thanking others. Like there was a lady in one of my workshops and she realized thank you meant a lot to her because she kept saying thank you, but she just realized she wasn't thanking herself. So she was also drained because she was overgiving. And you kind of know energetically when you're giving, when you're overgiving, you feel drained.
Yeah.
When you're not giving to yourself enough, you're depleted. So it's finding that balance.
How do we practice if we were for the beginners?
Okay. My best suggestion would be if you're struggling with a person, if you can get into a meditative, quiet space, and there are many ways that you can ground your energy. It could be through breathing. Just totally drop out of the space of your head and come into the heart. So you feel fully present, you feel grounded, you feel very connected in the moment. If you could pull out the face of a person who you want to send Ho'oponopono to, somebody who you are struggling with, it could also be just out of sheer gratitude. You could just be sending Ho'oponopono to your cat. In fact, there was an actress who came to OhanaJo and she was struggling with the fact the cat was messing up everywhere around her house. And what was interesting is the moment she had the thought she wanted to give the cat away, the cat messed up even more, almost as if it felt it was going to be thrown away or rejected. And it made her realize, wow, imagine if a parent starts to curse a situation with their kids, the kids rebel even more because you can feel it, the energy of non-acceptance or judgment, right? So she started giving Ho'oponopono to her cat. As she was crying in this one meditation because she remembered the day she got her kitten and how cute it was, and that she's not even been there because she worked for long hours. She wasn't even there for her cat. And she took full responsibility and said, that's it. I'm not giving up, cat. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me for not being around. And thank you for being in my life. And it's not like they had a conversation, but she came home 2 days after this meditation and she went, oh my gosh, there was no key in the house. It was so weird, right? It's like as if the animal felt the energy of acceptance and it shifted the energy of everything that was happening in that house. I would say if you are going to compare yourself to anyone, well, do it for you. And so ideally try not to compare because it already creates separation. And, to compare means something needs to be short or tall, better.
Even with yourself, we should, because we are saying that let's not compare with others. But how about we compare with ourselves?
Well, maybe you can consider doing that, but then you have to also think this layer or this list in your head of not being good enough, where did that come from? So that means if you're going to compare yourself, do it for you. So if you say, I want to be better, I want to be better at my job, do it because you want to, not because you feel that you're trying to chase some impossible ideal that was indoctrinated by, be it a parent or your boss. And because what if the boss has super high ideals that mean that you don't get to sleep at night, that you must work 20 to 24 hours in a day, also not realistic. So you just think like, who are you trying to compare yourself to, even in your own list? Or follow your heart. Compare yourself to yourself if it feels good, not because it feels like yet another pressure you're putting on to yourself.
Forgiveness, talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness means what happened was okay. If you accept something, you're giving up.
I think that forgiveness does not mean that what has happened is okay. And it is absolutely okay for you to feel something is not okay. It's also okay for you to be angry in that moment. But do you want to be angry till, your grave? Like, that means the moment the lesson is learned, and you've reacted as a human being might, are you going to carry this and just not forgive would be so unhealthy for you. And I feel forgiving does not mean that you have condoned something, because your values and your own boundaries are important. So there's that fine line. Yeah, forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, but it really means that you're able to open your heart and have compassion and accept that, you were different.
After I forgive, I will never feel angry or hurt about it again.
I would say that that's bullshit. Because, you'd be like lying to yourself, because life isn't a straight road. There are going to be things that come up that, are going to anger you, that are going to upset you, but it's how we deal with it each and every time. Every day is a new day. And sometimes people are upset that they're upset. Sometimes people are upset that they're not able to forgive, but then you gotta think, okay, maybe this one takes time. Like healing is not an overnight process.
So we almost come to the end for this podcast. If Jojo, if there's one thing that we can bring home from all our discussion today about topic is stop comparing, start forgiving. Is there anything that we should put our focus at? What's our highlight for today? We want to summarize one.
Okay, I would say that having a role model, comparing ourselves might be very normal in our day-to-day lives in society, but to not allow yourself to be hurt by a feeling of not being good enough, because the more you focus on something, if you focus on being not good enough, then that shall be your reality, because perception is reality. And I would say the whole concept of stop comparing and start forgiving, if there's anything to forgive, I would feel it would be your lens.
Your lens.
If you can forgive your own perception, if you can forgive your perspective, because that's what is making it hurt, that's what's making it real. And if we're able to accept and see people for who they are and accept it is what it is, then that will free you. Then people can be whoever they want to be, but then give yourself permission to be whoever you are as well. It's both ways, but we so often feel, no, we have to be a certain way, and then that traps you and that makes you feel so confined, But if you're free to be yourself, and if you really feel free, you give that to others too, and you'll be less judgmental.
Yeah, that's exactly why we're doing what we do.
Probably starting with yourself, right? I speak with yourself, and you allow yourself to be, and you allow others
to be.
Yeah.
And just do whatever makes you feel more present. It could be dance, it could be anything, but you know that you are, shake it out.
you are supported, and
yeah,
you're all here, So
yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah. This will be the final caption song. Okay, so if you like this episode, do really comment below, and then also tell us what you want to hear more from different women leaders and in the community. Just introduce that to us, and go actually, reach out to them and share their story. Yeah,
you can also check out more about OhanaJo, what OhanaJo is offering and sharing.
Yeah, on the social media, the website, everywhere. Also, you can follow Jojo, Instagram.
Thank you. Yeah, we're all about slowing down in order to speed up.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And of course, this will be on the Spotify, YouTube, and also our IG at Her Story. So do follow us, subscribe to us, and of course, share this to your friend. And we're looking forward to have more stories to share with you. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Jojo.